Welcome to this new user flow teardown. My name is Andrew Schultz, and what we're going to do today is we're going to walk through the new user flow for a company called Mouseflow. Mouseflow is a pretty cool company. They have software that will record what users do on your website. So like if I go visit a website where Mouseflow is installed, people who manage that website can see where I click, where I scroll to, where I spend time. They get all kinds of analytics about it. Mouseflow calls it behavior analytics, and I think it's a pretty valuable thing that they're offering their market. And I'm part of that market, which is why I am in this new user flow. So we're going to analyze that. Now, when I say tear down, I mean breaking down and analyzing, I'm not tearing anybody down here. So this is meant to be constructive. It's meant to be helpful. I am going to find a lot of opportunity to improve this new user flow from Mouseflow. If you're watching from Mouseflow, please feel free to implement these things. And if you want to talk about any of it, I am open to that as well. If you're not from Mouseflow and you're watching this, which I imagine is most of you, then what you can take from this are principles that a PLG company, that stands for product-led growth if you're unfamiliar. It's a company that offers a free trial as its main motion for getting new users into its product. And even any sales motions usually are built upon that base of users who are coming in through the free trial. So if you're watching this, you're going to learn what PLG companies can do to increase the conversions from free users to paid users, which is one of the primary go-to-market metrics that a marketing team is going to be tracking at a PLG company, because you get these free users in and you want to convert them into paid users. And industry averages, according to the data that I have, is that it's about 1% to 3% of the free users who come into your product actually end up converting to a paid user. Now, I think there's so much room for improvement in that, and we're going to talk about, and I know I work with companies who are doing better than that. And so we're going to talk about how you can use some different tactics and strategies from marketing that actually isn't used in SaaS very much. And so I'm going to talk about how we can improve this new user flow today for Mouseflow. Now, just to get started, in PLG, there's a strong tendency to think that your free user signups are something more special than a normal lead. And I hope to completely disabuse you of that notion. They're not. A PLG free user is just a lead. You do have a little bit of a stronger intent signal than a normal lead that maybe like downloaded a Gartner Magic Quadrant that you were offering on your website, or a white paper, or a webinar recording or something like that. But only a little bit. So you've got to look at these free users as just leads. And here's my view. What happens a lot of time is that you miss them because you don't understand why they're here. You think they're here to use your product and to evaluate whether or not they should sign up for a paid account, and they're not. Most of them are here because they have a problem to solve. And if you can take the friction of understanding whether or not your product is going to solve their problem, that's like a chasm that they have to cross. And if you can do that job for them, you will capture more of these people. If you don't do that and you just assume they're here because we are doing behavior analytics and that's what they want, and we just have to prove that we're better than other behavior analytics companies, or that we have a cooler brand, or that we're more fun, or whatever your market positioning is, you're going to lose them, because all the work of understanding if this product will solve their problem, you've put it all back on their own shoulders. And it's intimidating, so they come in here and they intend to use the product, to learn about the features, to understand the benefits, and determine whether or not it's actually going to solve the problem that they have, or the 3 or 4 problems that kind of overlap and coalesce and cause all this complexity in their minds. They intend to do that, but then it's hard. They get your first email, they get into your product, they look around a little bit, it's cool, they got to go to a meeting or whatever it is, and they're out of there. They get your first email, they're like, yep, I'm going to get into that later. And then they get your second email, they haven't gotten into your first one yet, the emails start to pile up, and all of a sudden this is a big homework project, and they still don't know if you're going to solve their problem. And all of a sudden, it's starting to feel like a big, big task. And there's a lot of friction and difficulty in understanding, does this solve my problem? And why do they do this? Because every person thinks that their problem is unique. So that's why you can't just market behavior analytics, or if you're not from Mouseflow, whatever software category you operate in, you can't just market that to these people. They're not here for behavior analytics. They're here to solve this unique problem that they think nobody else has. It's a snowflake. It's the only one in the world that's just like this. And so you have to, first and foremost, before you do anything else, like very early, right off the bat, you need to demonstrate to them that you understand their problem. As Jay Abraham purportedly said, if you can describe your customer's problem better than they can, they will immediately assume that you have the solution. That's what you're going for in this PLG motion, okay? Because there's an awareness scale, and the people who are looking for behavior analytics in this case, or whatever your product category is in any other kind of PLG motion, they're a small percentage of people. There's a small percentage of people who are here for behavior analytics. The rest are here because they have a problem, and they need to know that you can solve it. So that's why I'm recommending you have this completely different focus in your PLG user flow, and that is demonstrating that you understand their problem and that giving them confidence that there is a solution and that they're going to learn that from you during this process, while you, of course, continue to help them understand how to use the product. So that will go along with this. So let's look at this first email. It's just a confirmation email, no big deal, but there are some lost opportunities here, things that I would change. Number one, it's from a company. Now, I understand this is a 50-50 ball in a lot of people's minds. I feel very strongly that this entire user flow should come from a person, a personal brand that is connected to Mouseflow. I don't know if it's the CEO, maybe it's the CMO, Dorothy again, or maybe it is some other sponsor that they've hired or put here, but people are going to have a much stronger affinity to a person instead of to a company. This is from the Mouseflow team. Welcome to the family. I think the app is very cool. Mouseflow is cool, but it's never going to be anybody's best friend, especially not in 2024. Welcome to the family doesn't do anything for anybody. There's no family here. Even the employees, like people after 2023, early 2023, late 2022, everybody knows that a SaaS company is not a family. Some people were naive enough to believe that it was a family before that, but that time period disabused pretty much everybody of that idea. So it's, the brand isn't going to be anybody's best friend. Nobody's joining a family, but you should be building your tribe here. So help them understand, yes, you're in the right place because we solve your problem, and we're going to give you an identity to go along with it. People who solve their problem this way with this set of methods that we use, which this tool helps us do, these are called, X, whatever it is. Behavior, something to do with behavior analysis, but something cool, something that people will want to identify with. That's how you do this part, not just inviting them to join the family with nothing really to back that up. Okay, the main headline inside the email is fine, you're one click away. Again, because we've failed here to connect to the new user's problem, your one click away means less because I don't know what I'm one click away from. Do you actually know what I'm trying to solve? But one click away is, it's still good. The next line, unleash the possibilities of behavior analytics. Is that what all Mouseflow users want? Again, I think you need to clearly demonstrate that you know what problem I'm trying to solve and that it can be solved and that you know how. And so what I think happens here is there are a bunch of users who come in, and Mouseflow, if you know what the segmentation of that group is, it seems like what's happened here is there's one email sequence that's trying to hit the biggest constituent inside that group and then hoping maybe the others will also come along for the ride, but that never happens in marketing. It rarely happens. You got to speak really specifically. So maybe multiple new user flows based on you learning and then what somebody's primary problem is and then putting them in the right flow for that. Okay, let's go to email number 2. Now, again, that's just the first email. It just says confirm your email, but you can get started on all of that right here. As I noted, because there are other things happening here that I think could just be changed. I'm not saying make this a longer email. Okay, the second email. Welcome to Mouseflow. So now I've confirmed my email address. Now Mouseflow is sending me emails to really try to convert me from a free user to a paid user. And the first thing they're doing here is trying to give me every opportunity to learn about their product and start using it. Again, I think this should always be from the same person. This one is from, I don't know if this is a real person or not, but it's from, I'm going to do my best to remove this name from this video because I certainly do not want to come across as if I'm criticizing any individual person here. But this may not even be a real person, but it's sent by a woman's name from Mouseflow. I'm just going to say Margaret. So Margaret from Mouseflow, that's better, and that's not the real name. That's better than the Mouseflow team, but when I look at the sending address, it's hi@mouseflow.com. The only place Margaret's name shows up anywhere in here is just on the sending address label. So it's from Margaret there, right here, but then this email is from it's a corporate email. It's kind of, it's coming from the Mouseflow team again. We're so happy you're here. We know. So there's a real disconnect there in, who this email is coming from. And if you're not building a relationship with me by missing on some of these points, you're missing a big opportunity. Who is this email about? Who is the star of the content? It's clearly Mouseflow. Okay, yes, they're happy I'm here, but, logo up top, installing Mouseflow, see our expert session to get started with Mouseflow, find frustrated users, be there when they need you, be the first to know. This could be useful, but again, you don't know if that's actually what I'm trying to do, because we haven't made that connection yet. I'm actually a marketer who's more interested in understanding why people do or do not convert on the site where this is installed. And for me, it's a site that is just like a secondary focus. It doesn't get very much traffic at all right now, so I kind of set this up ahead of time and wanted to learn what's happening on that site until I'm ready to really start putting effort into it. But so the assumption here is incorrect though, because I'm concerned with conversions on my site and understanding what are the most impactful things there. And so missed opportunity there. So I think the email attempts to make this about the user by talking about what the user needs, but it really just comes across as a very Mouseflow focused email. Like, this is an email about us and how cool what we can do is, and you should get into it. The graphic at the top isn't that helpful, neither are any of the others. Like, I'll just make this text. This is like playful. Each of these is playful. Here's a person diving into a tub of popcorn. There's a rocket here. I know they're trying to communicate a little bit of playfulness and trying to brand a little bit. But again, at this point, I don't care about the brand if I don't know that you can solve my problem. If I don't care about how cool a BMW brand is, or a Tesla brand, or a Lamborghini brand, if the problem that I'm trying to solve isn't solved by a car. Branding only is relevant once I understand that you and I have a meaningful connection in terms of you solving my problem. So I would just have it be text from a person, a little bit more of a personal tone, giving them links to what you think they need there. So the last thing I would talk about, the call to action. There shouldn't be plural call to actions here. There are so many. I counted, let's see, I wrote it down. There are 13 links in this email. 13 links, not including the view in browser up top here, or the unsubscribe link at the bottom, or the email preferences link. Okay, 13 links. And that's overwhelming. And one of the problems is that, again, if I'm a new user and I intend to do this, but then I get an email with 13 links, I am more likely to put that aside and come back to it later, which is the last thing that you want happening here in this new user flow. So that's important. Let's get to email number 3. So I figured out how to because as I said, this was super well done. It was very easy. Get the script on my website. It's recording. And this is a confirmation saying, hey, your stuff is all recording now. So this is from, again, not real name, but this is from the same name, Margaret. And they put a last name on here this time. So again, a little bit of a disconnect. Last time it was just from Margaret. Now Margaret's last name is here. So that's something that I think could be tightened up. But it's actually not from Margaret. Again, it's the Mouseflow team. So the Mouseflow team is not Margaret. Maybe Margaret's on the Mouseflow team, but she's never told me anything about herself, so I can't build a relationship with her. I'm not a fan of putting the social media badges here. What happens is if you put those social media badges, what's going to happen? If I go look at Twitter, let's just see. What's most likely going to happen is that I don't think like a new user needs to get channeled into other content channels, not randomly. So if I go to X, I think I'm going to see something related to, that's not really related to where I'm at in my new relationship with this company and the product. The odds are that I'm not. And I checked this before, and that was true. And let's see if it still is. Yeah, there aren't any new posts since I checked. So, the customer journey in B2B SaaS is a jungle. It often takes months before a decision is made. Here are 5 types of content you need to have to help guide your leads toward the finish line. So honestly, I don't think it needs to be a jungle. And that's kind of what I'm talking about today, but we make it a jungle very often. But as I'm trying to solve a problem, and this isn't the problem I'm trying to solve. Okay, girl, it's time to level up for you. Use Mouseflow to show your boss how it's done. Well, I'm not a girl. Maybe most of the users in Mouseflow are. I'm sure they know more about that than I do. But again, when I'm just getting into other channels of content, what's happening is I'm getting distracted from what I'm actually trying to do here. Your job in this new user flow is to pull me through into a paid account, not by just giving me random stuff. And so if I get on any of these social channels, I'm going to find stuff that doesn't pertain to where I'm at right now, and that is simply a distraction. Keep it here and keep it powerful is my recommendation here. If they follow you on social media through other channels, if they actually go find you because they want to, that's great. But one call to action, again, not 13, and putting these down here doesn't, again, we can also go to the blog, go to the training center, and a lot of that stuff is just not what I need right now. Okay, let's go to email number 4. How's it going with Mouseflow? Again, who's the star of this? Mouseflow. How's it going with Mouseflow? Mouseflow. You sign up for a Mouseflow account. I'd like to offer you 10% off. So go ahead and get it. They expire in 1 week. I'm a fan of the urgency. That's good. But urgency would be more effective if I had actually been convinced that this is the solution to my problem. Now I have a week to get this tool that will help me solve the problem. Again, well, actually, it's not again. I didn't say this before, but your product doesn't solve the problem. I'm going to solve the problem. Me and my team are going to solve the problem. If I'm a savvy buyer, I know that. I know your software isn't just going to solve the problem. But if you have demonstrated that you know what my problem is and that you can help me solve it and teach me how to solve it and give me a tool that'll help me solve it easier, faster, better, cheaper, with more certainty of the result I'm looking for, then that urgency of, hey, these links expire in a week. I know I have 1 week to make a decision to move forward in solving my problem. But now it's just I have a week to get into this product and see if it's what I need. That's a very different feeling, right? I have a week before I can get into this product, see if it's what I need, determine if it's actually going to solve my problem or not. I'm not sure. And now I have a week to do that research, and guess what? It didn't even come close. So, yeah. Also, this one is from a different Margaret. So same first name, different last name. So a little bit of a disconnect there. Here in email number 5, we're going to start speeding this up a little bit because I think I've made most of the main points that I want to make. But your Mouseflow trial just ended. Now they have a link to plans. They have another link to upgrade. Email us, chat with us. Lots of ways that I can talk to them or look at pricing plans. but they just gave me discount links that lasted a week 4 days ago. So those are still valid, but there's no mention of them anywhere here. There's no reminder that these links expire, these discount links expire in 3 days. They're forgotten. So that urgency that I might have felt 4 days ago, are not, it's not still being utilized. So if you had made the proper connection between my problem and the solution that you can give to me through your product and other knowledge about how to do what I need to do to solve that problem, then continue to use that urgency, and you can email me much more frequently as that countdown ticks down to the last day those links are available. Okay, now this is from a new person, and this isn't a sequence email, I don't believe. It's for a webinar on a certain date at a certain time. So this was Tuesday, June 11th. So that time has passed now. But when I got this email, it was still a month away. And what they're talking about here is more in line with the use case that I have for Mouseflow. They're talking about conversion rate optimization. That's a discipline that's a little bit different than what I do, but certainly elements of it are the same. And so this could be interesting to me, but it's not really targeted at me. It's targeted at a corporate marketer who might want to leave employment and start their own agency someday. So, that's another little bit of a miss. Webinars are excellent tools to use in the process of indoctrinating a new user. As a matter of fact, it's one of my favorite tools to use in the indoctrination process and in the conversion process. But I don't think this webinar will do much to convert a free user to a paid user. As a matter of fact, the targeting of the ICP seems a little bit off to me. So if it's targeted at a marketer who has a job, who may want to leave that job and start their own CRO agency someday, is teaching them about that really going to cause them to want to use your product, Mouseflow, more at their company? Is it really going to lead to them converting to a paid user now at their company and ideally to expanding to a larger base of users inside that company? I don't think it does that. So I think this is basically a typical SaaS webinar. And usually the goal of a typical SaaS webinar is to provide some interesting and useful info to the market with the hopes that those who attend will develop a little bit of brand affinity, remember this brand, come back to them more and more, and when they actually need to spend money on something like this, they would be at least a front runner in that decision. Good, but in my opinion, it's a pretty low bar to try to clear. And I think you can do that and still have a very strong converting webinar. Not a typical SaaS webinar, but one that has a very strong conversion of getting people to get from where they are to the next step. And there's a whole process around how to create that kind of webinar, but this is not it. That's not what they're doing here. So let's look at email number 7 now. Okay, this is back to Margaret number 2 emailing me. Hi there, I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to check in. Okay, those first 3 statements, all completely useless. Your Mouseflow free trial just ended a couple of days ago. Would you like me to extend it for you? Now that is a useful offer. By this time, I was totally checked out. I hadn't really received any specific value from these emails, and so I wasn't reading them anymore. And as I mentioned, I got this installed and then never went back to it. But the offer to extend the trial, I think, could be useful because it can start a dialogue. I have to respond to this, and then there's a dialogue happening. And maybe they can create a condition for me to get this extended. Also, okay, you have to jump on this call at the end of this trial extension, or we can jump on a call now and I could extend your trial. There are different ways to position this, but it starts a dialogue in any way. So that's useful, I think. Okay, email number 8. Get feedback from your users without asking them. Light bulb moment. We've got the light bulb icon or emoji here in the subject line. Certainly nothing wrong with putting emojis in the subject line. That's cool. It starts with, hey there. So at this point, Mouseflow should know my name, and they should be using it. Again, I mentioned this before, but they should be building a relationship with me. Using the first name is a great way to do that. It's a small thing, but it feels more genuine. Now, the thesis here is that I am trying to get feedback from my customers to understand what they want and need. from a content perspective, this is fine. Like if your goal is to create content and you're like, let's create some content for people who want to get feedback from their users to understand what they want and need, fine. It's perfectly okay. But from a conversion perspective, from a perspective of hitting your ICP here with the most relevant and persuasive message that you can to get them emotionally invested in moving forward with Mouseflow, it's just kind of a miss. I have some questions. Is this the number one thing people are trying to do? It feels to me like, is this the number one problem that people are trying to solve? It feels to me like this is just another topic that Mouseflow is bringing up here, like, hey, here's another thing you may not have thought about. That's innocuous kind of content. It's not strong. It doesn't create the emotions that I need to be drawn deeper into the world of Mouseflow and to identify myself more and more as part of this Mouseflow tribe. And so again, I think it's kind of a missed opportunity, because you certainly could do that with this email if you knew. And there's some great content in here. Get an overview. It gives you good instructions for very valuable things that the product can do. But again, like the whole, if you lose me at this, get feedback from your users without asking them, if that's not what I'm trying to do and that's not my problem, then you missed me. Okay, let's look at email number 9. It's a second invitation to this webinar. And so the webinar still hasn't happened yet. It's now 5 days away and still instead of a month away. And they tell a story here, and the story is actually pretty cool. It's an interesting premise. This is better. It actually, now after reading this second email, I feel like this webinar is actually more relevant to me than I understood it was from the first email. And so that's good. I'm still not confident that this topic is going to lead a attendee at this webinar to upgrade or expand the usage of Mouseflow at their company. It could have an indirect effect, like, hey, I love this tool. It's helping me prepare for the time. Like, this team is teaching me all these things that will help me prepare for the time when I'm going to be an entrepreneur and start my own agency. But I don't, it would only be indirect if it's like, therefore, I think we should use it more at my current job, maybe. But I think there's probably some tighter targeting, messaging, and value that you could give them in this webinar that would be more directly related to them using Mouseflow more to achieve what you can help them achieve today. Okay, email number 10, don't miss out on our live session. See Mouseflow in action. Okay, this is a cool concept. Mouseflow is going to go live and do some analysis of a public site using their own tool during this webinar. So there's this public site that this company has. Mouseflow has been installed there. They're going to walk through using Mouseflow to analyze what users are doing on that site, and then teach the owners of this site what they can learn from it, what it means, what Mouseflow is telling them that they can now use to create more value in that website. So for an audience that knows Mouseflow can help them solve their problem and are looking to use it better, this will be highly effective. If I don't know that it's the tool that's going to solve my problem, and again, we've never made that connection that, hey, this is your problem and this is how you solve it, then I may not be that interested in this. It's a cool event and idea, but maybe not for me if I don't know you can solve my problem. Okay, we're almost done here. There are 2 more emails, and these will go quick. Email number 11 here, your new secret weapon, geo and movement in heat maps. Hi, it starts out with hi. I think my name is supposed to go there. There's a space before the comma, but I don't know if maybe that was a new thing they're doing. This is a cool concept. Mouseflow allows you to do heat maps so you can see, where people are spending the most time on your site or where they are geographically. Really cool concept and feature. But they're calling this my secret weapon. Why is this my secret weapon? Because again, there's no connection to the problem that I'm actually trying to solve. It's a very good product feature info and benefits in the, when is it useful section that they have in this gray box. So, they ask questions like, what does a movement heat map tell you? When is it useful? What does a geo heat map tell you? When is it useful? Great info. It's a feature email. And, again, it's like what I would want to see here is something that gives me the emotional fuel to want to engage more deeply. than just a feature email. We're 2 months in now. And if you didn't capture me earlier, I'm probably not even reading this email. So, which is exactly what happened in this case, until I came back to really look at everything that was going on here. Email number 12, behavior analytics, why it's a must-have. Okay, this is now, it's like almost 2.5 months. And this is, over a week after the last email later. This is more content focused on how great the product is. Behavior analytics, why it's a must-have. That is almost like you're trying to tell me something that I should have learned 2.5 months ago. Let's see, this was almost a 3-month process, 2.5 months. So I should have known why behavior analytics is a must-have way back then when I came to understand that Mouseflow understands my problem and that this is the answer. That there's a package of knowledge, expertise, processes, experiences, standard operating procedures, insider knowledge or wisdom, tactics, and a tool to go along with all of that I can use to solve this specific problem. And then I would know behavior analytics is important for me. Okay. So, and here it even acknowledges that it doesn't know who I am. That I say it, I'm talking about the email, but like the email even acknowledges that Mouseflow doesn't know who I am at this point. Whether I'm a marketing manager, a UX designer, a web developer, a part of a product team, behavior analytics has something for everyone. So again, this is trying to market to everyone, to disparate identities and ideal customer profiles all at once. And so I gotta believe, I don't have any of the performance metrics for any of these emails, but I gotta believe that they don't perform super well, and that this whole process, taking a free user, which is the primary growth mechanism for a product-led growth company, taking this free user and converting as many of those as possible into paid users. There could be so much more going on in this new user flow that would help to do that, and that would convert more people. So Mouseflow is a great company. This is meant to be instructive. I think there are just a few principles that I've talked through over and over through all of these emails that, if implemented, could make a big difference in the number of these free users who come in, who then convert into paid users. So I hope this has been helpful. Next time we're going to talk about what it might look like to put some of these changes in place to improve this experience and increase the number of free users who are converting into paid users.